Our topic for the day is how to juggle private practice when you are a parent. I think private practice is the best place to be for a parent because of the flexibility. I think that it's so important that if you're going into private practice to create a schedule that works for you. I was talking to a few people this week and they're like, oh, I don't work, this day because I'm, at home with my child, or, my husband works these hours and I work these hours so that we can really spend the most amount of time with our children, or, I take off this time, or I really adhere to this schedule. And so that's one of the best things about private practice. Even for us, we have a group practice. And when I start looking at our clinicians and I'm like, oh yeah, this person isn't working late hours. Why? And I'm like, oh, because they're a parent and they need to be home to take care of their children. And that is a really big value for me. We have a lot of parents that work for us, and I want them to have a great work-life balance, right? I don't want them to necessarily be working all of these late hours or hours that just don't work for their family. And so even if you join a group practice, look for a group practice that is very, family-oriented if that is what you are looking for. Because with private practice, you can create your own schedule. It's much easier, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it, to cancel clients if you need to, than it is maybe to call your boss and be like, I have to take the whole day off of work because my child is, sick again in daycare. Your clients will understand if you prepare them. Let them know, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a parent. My child just started daycare, right? If you're comfortable sharing with these things. There may be times when I have to cancel your appointment. Here's what this will look like. I will reschedule you in the same week, or I will reschedule you as soon as I can, or, I will, whatever the accommodations you're going to make, let them know what those accommodations are, right? Make them feel a part of the process and be open and honest with them, because it is a part of the process. It is a part of being a parent, is having to juggle. There isn't really this great way. I personally haven't learned oh wow, there's these great 3 tactics you can do to, juggle being a parent. I've not written a blog post. Somebody reads my blog post, and I was like, there are 5 tips to manage your anxiety. I'm 5 tips to juggle having a child and being a therapist. It's do the best you can do, 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 because it's there are no tips, right? It's almost trial by fire. Not that there aren't coping skills you can use and things that you can do, hold your boundaries and, create a schedule that works for you and have a talk with your clients. There are things you can do, but we call it juggling for a reason, because that's what it feels like, right? I'm just thinking okay, you have children, you drop them off at school, you drop off at daycare, you go to private practice, you see your clients, you pick your children back up, you take them home, then you're doing dinner, you're doing bath time, you're doing bedtime, and then it's 8 or 9 o'clock and you're oh, okay, I'm me again for a half an hour until I'm absolutely exhausted and I'm falling asleep, right? And it's rinse and repeat. And then there's, depending on how old your kids are, now there's soccer practices, or there's, I'm trying to think what other things, I don't know. Soccer's always a go-to easy one. It seems like everybody's children play soccer. I even warned my husband, I'm soccer's usually the first thing they play if you, putting them in sports. So, balancing all of this, is a lot. And it isn't, again, those 3 proven things to do in order to do it. You would just have to find a groove for yourself. I think that was really important for me, is finding a groove for myself and then being really gracious in that process, being really easy on yourself. I see a lot of parents, especially those in private practice, trying to do too much. They're trying to see their clients, they're trying to meet the needs of their family, they're trying to meet the needs of their children, their husbands, their wives, their partners. Then they're trying to do talks, and then they're trying to build an Instagram, and then they're trying to do this, that, and that, and this. And sometimes that can feel very overwhelming. So I think it needs to go back to your values and your priorities. What do you value the most? And then how can you prioritize those things? For me right now, one of the hardest things for me to do is go to networking events. And I realize I have to prioritize other things for my business and my family. And I have to put networking events on the back burner until a time when I'm able to do those easier. And so I think if you wanted like some tried and true tips, it's going to be look at your values and then learn to prioritize around those values. I want to talk a little bit more about values and prioritizing, but first let's thank our sponsor, TherapyNotes. If you're looking for an electronic health record that's really full service, one that can help you run your practice really efficiently, so that's not something that you have to, stress about. You can write your notes, you can do telehealth. It's free. You can submit insurance payments. You can take credit card payments. You can book appointments. You can do intake. You can send paperwork. It's really full service, and they have a wonderful customer service. You can pick up the phone. You can call. You can get the help that you need. I highly recommend you take a look at TherapyNotes. So going back to, you even have to prioritize the kinds of clients you're going to see, right? If I'm just going to like a child therapist, a lot of people want appointments in the afternoon. If you need to be home at a certain time, you may have to reevaluate the kinds of clients that you see. You may have to see people who can be seen during the day, or target a certain type of child, like homeschool children, something like that. And so you might have to pivot. I think a lot of the times being a parent in private practice means that you pivot. It's not always going to be like, this is my set schedule always, and nothing's going to change. You have to have some flexibility for the things that happen that you don't have any control over. Your child gets sick. It's, their character parade around Halloween and you want to go, and normally you see people at 10 and this is at 9:30. And so having flexibility, and then finally just having grace with yourself, not being too hard on yourself, not being too hard on your process, your experience, and really knowing you're doing the very best job that you can do. I'm here most days answering your questions. I'll see you soon, everybody. Bye.